Welcome back to The Joy of Vinyl. I'm Rick Coste, and I think I'm going crazy. Now, this is a PSA from my nonprofit group, Speaker Placement Anonymous. It's a highly secretive group. It doesn't require a handshake, but what it does require is the ability to sit still, leave your speakers alone, and enjoy the music. Now, why am I bringing this up again? I've done it many times before. Well, I thought I was all set. For a few weeks, I was happy. My speakers were where I wanted them to be, or I felt they were. They're about, I'd say, 8 feet apart, and I sit around 7 feet from them. I had a slight toe in where they were just pointed, just over my shoulders. And I was content. Was is the operative word here. And then this happened. My ears bled. Not because it was, loud, but because the sound was off. Something wasn't right. And I've listened to this record many times. It was too bright. But it had been years, I think, though. Something I thought I had accounted for after endless tweaks to where my speakers were pointed and, the objects that are in the room. So I blame Ronnie James Dio. Not really. I love Ronnie and I miss him. But the events of the last week made me realize something. It's not all in my head. It's in something else. And knowing this might save you a ton of frustration. So, what happened that thrust me right back into my old ways of speaker adjustment? Well, that record happened, for one. I've always enjoyed that record, and it's been, like I think I said a minute ago, a few years since I've listened to it, but I used to all the time. It was well before my current setup, which I've talked about recently too. Anyway, I've recently been in an 80s metal kick. Don't ask me why. The way I approach listening is I'll usually start with a record that I've been wanting to hear at the end of the day, and I'll let it dictate what the next one will be. And somehow the line of records led to Billy Squier, which led to 80s AC/DC, which led to Crocus, which led to Dio. No rhyme or reason there. But I noticed something with the Crocus album, and then more so with Dio's Holy Diver. Like I said, something was off. So I got up and I enabled the tone control on my amp. It helped, but not like I hoped. It still sounded too bright, and I don't normally get brightness from my setup. Had something changed in the room? I didn't think so, but something must have, right? So I did what I thought I was done doing. I got up and I moved the speakers. I sat down. I put the stylus back to the beginning of the song, sat down, and did it again. I'd stumbled right back into the rabbit hole. And I'm sure some of you are shaking your head right now. You probably know exactly what the problem was without me even having to say it. It should have been obvious to me. But I was tired. I think I had a glass of scotch. And apparently I was off my game. And I wasn't thinking. I didn't think anything was wrong, before getting to Crocus and Dio. So when I started to blame the room and then speaker placement, I was already too far gone. Like I said, some of you probably already know what was going on here. It had nothing to do with the speakers. It had nothing to do where the speakers were placed. I was happy with them, and I had been for weeks. Granted, it's not the best room when it comes to sound, and I've done a lot to remedy that. So what happened? Nothing did. It was the records. The records were too bright, more so Holy Diver than Headhunter. But Headhunter planted the seed of doubt, and Holy Diver did the rest. So I had just fallen back into my old ways of endlessly adjusting my speakers because of 2 records. I knew better, but like I said, I wasn't thinking. I'd become too comfortable with great sound that when I threw 2 records that were simply too bright, not great pressings into the mix, it caught me off guard. So what should I have done? Well, to begin with, I shouldn't have immediately blamed the room or the speakers, and I shouldn't have got frustrated like I did. What I should have done was stop the record. Maybe pulled out a reference disc and allow it to tell the story. I have a few records I fall back on, depending on, what it is I'm trying to accomplish. If it's a new piece of equipment, I'll turn to Brothers in Arms, maybe, Dire Straits Brothers in Arms, maybe Rush's Moving Pictures. There's quite a few albums that I'll throw on just as a test, when I change something to hear, to see how it sounds because I know how it should sound. If I'm trying to, say, center the vocals, I usually fall back on Carole King's Tapestry or Neil Young's Harvest. It all depends, and I know immediately what record to pull out to test something. So what I should have done when confronted with something that sounded too bright like those two records did, I should have just pulled something out that I know sounds great on the system just to see if something had changed and taken it from there. Robert Cray's Strong Persuader, or even Death Wish by Samantha Fish and Jesse Dayton, they would have been all that was needed, and I would have known immediately, hey, it's that record, it's the Dio record. But instead, I forgot everything I thought I knew because I reacted way too quickly. And the point of all of this is really to say, sometimes it's not a flaw in your equipment. It might not be a flaw in your room or your speakers or how they're placed. It might just be the piece of music or the particular pressing of that music that's the problem. It's all part of the journey. That's the joy of vinyl. Now, I probably said something that all of you are well aware of, but I thought it was worth sharing in case it does help somebody and helps them avoid falling into that rabbit hole. So let me know all of your thoughts on this. Leave comments or contact me at the website joyofvinyl.com. And as always, thank you for watching and putting up with me. And until next time, please take care of yourself and enjoy your records.